Hello friends, my name is Jatin Talreja. I am a CA, CPA and Diploma IFRS by profession. And in today's video lesson, we're going to talk about revenue from contract with customers, IFRS 15. This standard has been updated both in IFRS, US GAAP and also Ind AS. It has been made globally applicable from 1st January 2018, and in India under Ind AS, the same has been made applicable from 1st of April 2018. The guidance is exactly the same across all the three standards. Now, before we actually go into the standards, why is revenue so important? Revenue is the main source of income for any business. So it is a responsibility of any business to take care of their revenue policy, when to recognize the revenue, how to record a transaction in the system, and if they miss to record that, that may not be reflected in this in the particular period, or it may get deferred. So the business have to be aware and careful about their policy, and that's the reason the guidance is available. Now, the question, is the revenue standard not there earlier? It was already there. In fact, there were two standards, IS 18, which talked about revenue recognition from sale of goods and services and interest income. And there was another standard, which was IAS 11, that was for customer contracts. So essentially what IFRS 15 did, it replaced both of these standards, IAS 11 and IAS 18. So now it is only IFRS 15 that take care of all the income, except the income from interest, which is being pushed to IFRS 9. Rest all revenue guidance is now available under IFRS 15. So the main topics that got replaced were IAS 18 and IAS 11. However, there are still a couple of interpretations, like IFRIC 13, 15, or SIC 31. So let's say if we go to Shopper Stop today, or we go to any of the store, we get some points when we shop. Or if you buy anything from Amazon or Paytm, we get certain cashback points. So those type of guidance were earlier covered under IFRIC 13. This guidance has now been dropped from IFRIC 13 and have been now put in the same manner under the revenue standard IFRS 15. So even such guidance which were now sitting outside the standard have been now brought under the standard itself. Or let's say if we go, if we go for air, if there is an airline company, and we all know that when we travel we get certain air miles, right, that we can use for the further travel for free. Similar guidance on the transferring the assets to the consumers. So if you are paying anything to the customer, how that treatment will going to happen, that has been put in the standard itself. So now the revenue guidance is collectively brought under one roof of IFRS 15. There were lot many things in the earlier standard that were left for the judgment of the management. Now, under IFRS 15, most of these issues have been brought into the standard itself. And IFRS 15 has a detailed guidance on each and every revenue which the company can earn. For example, let's say if you are giving a discount to any of the customers, or if you are offering discount to a consumer on bulk purchases. So on day one, we need to assess or estimate if the consumer will be able to purchase that threshold or that bulk quantity from us or not during a particular period. So these kind of items are now available. So most of the judgments have now been brought into the standard itself. Now we'll talk about the scope of the standard. Any revenue that, so the revenue is basically something that we earn from the sale of goods or services, or let's say any of the construction contracts. For example, if we ask the builder to build a home for us, the contract is given, let's say, to the builder for 4 years for a four-storied building to construct the house for us. Now it won't be completed in a year, but it will take some time. Now how much revenue should builder recognize over that period of time? That is something covered under the construction contracts. Apart from that, let's say If I talk about any company, any of the company, let's say the software company, let's say SAP, which gives, its software license to anyone, how SAP will recognize that revenue, licensing of the intellectual property rights. Or for example, let's say if we all know today there is a cartoon company, right? Or the media company, let's say Chota Bheem, for example, that has become a brand. So they are producing cartoons. So let's say this media company, Chota Bheem, try to give their cartoon characters to a toy manufacturer. Now they will make soft toys with those characters, right? And sell them in the market. So how the cartoon company will earn the royalty from that toy manufacturer? That is also now covered under IFRS 15. So that's pretty much talks about the scope of the standards. Now, what is not covered under the scope of the standard is, what if I earn the lease rentals? If I am earning the lease rentals, that is covered under a separate standard, which is IFRS 16. Or if I am earning, let's say, anything from the instruments, financial instruments, that is, if I invested in the market, or let's say my market price in the shares goes up or down, that is not covered in IFRS 15. That will be separately covered under IFRS 9. Or let's say if we talk about a company which is in the insurance business, that will be covered in IFRS 17. Or if we talk about, any fair value of the agricultural produce, if I'm into that kind of a business, that is covered under IAS 41. So essentially what has happened is that everything has been brought in one, under one standard. And what has changed under IFRS 15, the most important thing that has been changed is that there is a, thus IASB has laid down a five-step approach that needs to be followed in a sequence to book the revenue and to recognize the revenue in the books. We will cover those steps in a lot more detail in the upcoming video lessons, but please do leave your comments or any of your thoughts or any feedback that is there from you. I'll be more than happy to incorporate that in the coming lesson. Thank you so much.